Okay, loves. I need y'all to sit down for this one. Like, genuinely sit down. Because what I'm about to tell you is so wild, so absolutely unhinged, that when I first heard it, I had to replay the clip 3 times just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. 21 Savage, yes, that 21 Savage, just publicly announced that he wants to physically fight Kendrick Lamar. Not battle him, not out-rap him, not challenge him into a lyrical showdown. Fight him. Like, throw hands, square up, boxing ring, street brawl, however you want to picture a child, because apparently that's where we are now in 2025. And before y'all come for me in the comments, before you say, it's just rap beef or he's joking, I need you to understand something critical right now. This isn't just some offhand comment. This isn't some drunk tweet. This is a calculated, coordinated attack on the most dominant lyricist in modern hip-hop. And if you think I'm exaggerating, stick around, loves, because by the end of this video, you're gonna see exactly how deep this conspiracy goes. But real quick, smash that like button and subscribe if you want the real tea with no filter, because YouTube does not want this video to go viral. So let's make sure it does, yeah? All right, here we go. Here's what we're proving today, loves. 21 Savage's threat to Kendrick Lamar isn't just about street credibility or keeping it real. It's a desperate, fear-driven reaction to the fact that Kendrick Lamar destroyed Drake so badly in their 2024 rap battle that Drake's entire camp is still traumatized. 2 years later, they're still shaking, still insecure, still haunted by lines like A minor and Meet the Grams. And instead of responding with music, the thing rappers are supposed to do, they're now threatening violence. Because apparently, when you can't beat someone with your pen, you just threaten to beat them with your fists? Makes total sense, right? Now listen, I already know some of y'all aren't going to want to hear this. The Drake stans, they're going to be big mad. The 21 Savage fans already typing essays in the comments. And the industry plats who benefit from dumbed down, no substance music, oh, they're terrified this video's going to pop off. But here's the thing, loves. We see through it. We know what's really happening. We understand that this isn't about rap anymore. This is about an anti-intellectual agenda trying to take over hip-hop. So do me a favor. Drop a like on this video right now so that everyone can see the truth. Don't let them bury this. Don't let them control the narrative. We're the ones who actually care about bars, about lyricism, about storytelling. And we're not about to let them erase that without a fight. All right, let's get into it. So, over the past few weeks, something strange has been happening in the hip-hop world. And if you haven't been paying close attention, you might have missed it. But I caught it. And now you're about to see it too. It all started when 21 Savage did an interview. I believe it was on a podcast, could have been a radio show, details are still coming out, but regardless, he made a comment that sent shockwaves through the entire industry. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but this is essentially word for word, I don't come from that rap world, I come from the streets, so if somebody disrespects me, we can handle it a different way. Now, on the surface, that sounds like typical tough guy posturing, right? Like, oh, he's just saying he's gangster. He's just reminding people he's not soft. But here's where it gets interesting, loves. He said this in direct response to a question about Kendrick Lamar. Not about a random rapper, not about some Twitter troll. Kendrick Lamar, the same Kendrick who bodied Drake so badly in 2024 that Drake literally disappeared from public view for months. So now we have to ask ourselves 2 things. 1, why is 21 Savage, who wasn't even the main person in that beef, suddenly coming out of nowhere to threaten Kendrick? 2, why is he framing this as a physical confrontation instead of a lyrical one? Because, loves, I think we all know the answer. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So after 21 made that initial comment about handling it a different way, he followed it up with something even more disrespectful. He called Kendrick Lamar a book bag rapper. Now, if you're not familiar with that term, let me break it down. A book bag rapper is industry slang for someone who writes down their lyrics, studies the craft, focuses on storytelling, uses metaphors, puts thought into their work. You know, the stuff that actual artists do. But in 21's world, that's apparently a bad thing. He's literally trying to shame Kendrick for being good at rapping, for being a writer, for caring about his craft. Child, make it sense. But here's the kicker, loves. This isn't just 21 Savage being ignorant. This is part of a bigger agenda. See, there's been a quiet war happening in hip-hop for years now, and it's between two factions. The lyricists, people like Kendrick, Cole, Lupe, Black Thought, who treat rap like an art form, and the anti-intellectuals, people who push this narrative that real rappers don't write, that street credibility matters more than skill, that thinking too hard makes you soft. And guess which side 21 Savage and Drake are on? I mean, it's hilarious when you think about it. Drake, the man who's had more ghostwriters than Cass Ferry, is somehow aligned with this anti-writing movement. 21 Savage, who's made an entire career off of repeating the same flow for 10 years, is out here trying to discredit someone who's won a Pulitzer Prize for his writing. Try laugh. You genuinely cannot make this up, loves. But let's be real for a second. Why are they doing this? Is it really about keeping hip-hop street? Is it really about authenticity? Or is it because they know they can't compete with Kendrick on a lyrical level, so they're trying to change the rules of the game entirely? Because here's what I think is happening. Kendrick Lamar embarrassed Drake so badly in 2024 that Drake's camp realized they will never be able to beat him in a rap battle. Not now, not ever. So, instead of accepting that loss and moving on, instead of making better music and improving their craft, they've decided to do something way more dangerous. Delegitimize lyricism itself. If they can convince the culture that writing doesn't matter, that bars don't matter, that real rappers just go off the dome and keep it street, then suddenly Kendrick's biggest strength becomes irrelevant. And that, loves, is what we're really watching unfold right now. 6:15, transition, the Drake connection. But wait, it gets even messier. Because 21 Savage didn't just wake up one day and randomly decide to go after Kendrick. Oh no, child. This has Drake's fingerprints all over it. Word on the street, and I'm hearing this from multiple sources in the industry, allegedly, is that 21 and Drake have been having secret conversations about Kendrick for months. Like full-on venting sessions, therapy circles, trauma bonding over how badly Kendrick destroyed them. And apparently, during one of these conversations, 21 Savage told Drake something that should absolutely terrify you. Bro, stop trying to rap with him. Start hitting him. I'm sorry, what? So now we've gone from let's make a diss track to let's commit assault? And y'all wonder why I'm saying this is deeper than rap beef? But here's where it gets even more sus, loves. Drake was recently caught on a live stream, I think it was a kick stream or something, and he was hyping up the idea of a boxing match between him and Kendrick. Like, he was genuinely entertaining the thought of getting in a ring with Kendrick Lamar. The same Kendrick who's from Compton. The same Kendrick who's been affiliated with actual gangs his whole life. The same Kendrick who wrote a song called Mad City about surviving literal gang violence. Yeah, Drake, great idea, bro. I'm sure that'll go well for you. But here's the thing that nobody's talking about. Why is Drake even considering this? Why is he, and by extension 21 Savage, so obsessed with finding a non-musical way to confront Kendrick? It's because they're scared, loves. They're scared of his pen. They're scared of his talent. They're scared of the fact that if Kendrick ever decides to drop another diss track, it's gonna be career-ending. And instead of just, staying in their lane and making music, they're out here trying to intimidate him into silence. Which, honestly, is the most cowardly thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, if you think I'm reaching, if you think this is all just coincidence, let me show you something that's gonna blow your mind. Because 21 Savage isn't the only person who's been pushing this anti-lyricist narrative recently. The Game, yes, that Game, did an interview a few weeks ago where he said almost the exact same thing. He called Kendrick overhyped. He said Kendrick's music is too intellectual for the streets. He even suggested that Kendrick's Pulitzer Prize was a white industry award that doesn't mean anything in hip-hop. Child, the audacity. But here's what's really interesting. The Game and 21 Savage don't really run in the same circles. They're not signed to the same label. They don't collab often. They're not best friends. So why are they both saying the same thing at the same time? I'll tell you why, loves, because this is a coordinated effort. There are people in the industry, executives, label heads, managers, who are terrified of what Kendrick Lamar represents. Because Kendrick's success proves something that they don't want the culture to believe. That substance sells, that lyricism matters, that you don't need to dumb down your music to be successful. And if that narrative takes over hip-hop, if the next generation of rappers starts prioritizing bars over beats, storytelling over streams, artistry over algorithms, then all these industry plants, all these manufactured, auto-tuned, ghost-written artists become obsolete. So they're trying to kill the movement before it fully takes root. And the way they're doing it? By attacking the king of that movement, Kendrick Lamar. They can't beat him musically, so they're trying to discredit him culturally. And y'all better wake up to it, Luz, because if we let them win this war, hip-hop as we know it is over. All right. So now I want to introduce y'all to a concept that's going to tie this entire story together. I'm calling it fear-driven fury. Here's what it means. Fear-driven fury is when someone attacks you not because you did something wrong to them, but because you represent something they're deeply insecure about. Walk with me here for a second, loves. When 21 Savage calls Kendrick a book bag rapper, he's not actually mad at Kendrick. He's mad at the fact that Kendrick's talent exposes his own limitations. When Drake hypes up a boxing match, he's not trying to settle things like a man. He's trying to escape the embarrassment of getting lyrically destroyed. When The Game says Kendrick is overhyped, he's not making a critical analysis. He's projecting his own irrelevance onto someone who's still culturally dominant. Fear-driven fury. They're not attacking Kendrick because he's a threat to their safety. They're attacking him because he's a threat to their ego. And honestly, that's one of the saddest things I've ever watched in hip-hop. Because instead of letting Kendrick's success inspire them to get better, instead of using him as motivation to improve their craft, they're trying to tear him down so they don't have to face their own inadequacy. And that, loves, is what separates legends from losers. Legends see greatness and strive to match it. Losers see greatness and try to destroy it. So I need y'all to remember this phrase, fear-driven fury. Because every time you see someone attacking Kendrick without a legitimate reason, every time you see someone trying to delegitimize his talent, every time you see someone pushing this anti-intellectual agenda, just ask yourself, are they critiquing him or are they scared of him? And I promise you, 99% of the time, it's the latter. Now, let's dig even deeper into this, loves, because what we're witnessing right now isn't just a rap beef. This is psychological warfare. Think about it. Kendrick Lamar hasn't said a word publicly since the Drake battle ended. He dropped his diss tracks, he won, he moved on. He has been silent. And yet Drake's camp is still talking about him. 21 Savage is still making threats. The game is still throwing shade. Why? Because Kendrick's silence is somehow even more powerful than his words. It's like he doesn't even need to respond anymore, loves. His legacy speaks for itself. His music speaks for itself. His Pulitzer Prize speaks for itself. Meanwhile, Drake is on a kick streams talking about boxing matches. 21 Savage is on podcasts threatening violence. The game is on interviews crying about industry awards. Like, who really looks insecure here? The man who's living his life, making generational music, and staying quiet? Or the men who are obsessed with tearing him down 2 years after the beef ended? Exactly. But here's the part that's genuinely concerning, loves. Because this psychological warfare isn't just affecting Drake in 21. It's starting to affect the culture. Because now younger rappers are watching this play out and they're learning a terrible lesson. Like, if you can't beat someone with talent, just intimidate them, just threaten them, just attack their character instead of their craft. Synthesis, Section 1, the bigger picture. All right, so let's bring all of this together, loves. Here's what we know so far. 1. 21 Savage publicly threatened to physically fight Kendrick Lamar instead of battling him musically. 2. This threat came in the context of calling Kendrick a book bag rapper, which is part of a larger anti-intellectual agenda in hip-hop. 3. The game made almost identical comments around the same time, suggesting this is a coordinated attack. 4. Drake's camp has been secretly discussing ways to handle Kendrick that don't involve making music. 5. All of this stems from the fact that Kendrick destroyed Drake so badly in 2024 that they're still traumatized by it. Now here's the part that should terrify you. This isn't just about Kendrick anymore. This is about whether hip-hop is going to remain an art form that values skill, creativity, and lyricism, or whether it's going to devolve into a popularity contest where talent doesn't matter, substance is discouraged, and violence is glorified over verses. And right now, loves, we're at a crossroads. The industry is pushing hard for that second option because the second option is easier to control. It's easier to manufacture. It's easier to profit from. But we, the fans, the listeners, the culture, have the power to reject that. We can keep supporting real artists. We can keep demanding bars. We can keep celebrating lyricism. But we have to be intentional about it, loves, because if we stay silent, if we let this narrative take over, hip-hop as we know it will be dead within a decade. Evidence Section 3, the viral hypocrisy clip. Now, just when you thought this story couldn't get any messier, the internet did what the internet does best. Exposed the hypocrisy. So, a few days after 21 Savage made his comments about wanting to fight Kendrick, a clip started going viral on Twitter. And this clip loves Chef's Kiss is perfect. The clip shows 21 Savage from a few years ago, I think it was 2021 or 2022, where he's on a track dissing Lil Durk. And in that diss, he uses the exact same word that Kendrick used against Drake in Not Like Us. You know the word I'm talking about, loves. I'm not going to say it on this channel, but y'all know. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When 21 Savage dissed Durk using that word, nothing happened. No threats, no demands for a fight, no "we can handle this in the streets" energy. It was just rap, like it's supposed to be. But when Kendrick uses that same word against Drake, suddenly 21 Savage wants to throw hands. Suddenly, it's too disrespectful. Suddenly, we need to handle it a different way. Make it make sense, child. Because here's what this clip proves. 21 Savage doesn't actually care about the disrespect. He doesn't care about defending some moral line in hip-hop. He cares about defending Drake. And the reason he cares about defending Drake is because Drake is his meal ticket. Drake put him on songs. Drake gave him visibility. Drake keeps him relevant in an industry where he'd otherwise be mid-tier at best. So when Kendrick embarrassed Drake, when Kendrick exposed Drake, when Kendrick ended Drake, 21 Savage took it personally, not because of loyalty, not because of friendship, but because his career depends on Drake staying on top. And honestly, loves, that's just sad. Like, imagine being so insecure in your own talent that you have to threaten violence on behalf of someone else just to stay in their good graces. That's not loyalty. That's desperation. Synthesis, Section 1, the bigger picture. All right, so let's bring all of this together, loves. Here's what we know so far. 1. 21 Savage publicly threatened to physically fight Kendrick Lamar instead of battling him musically. 2. This threat came in the context of calling Kendrick a book bag rapper, which is part of a larger anti-intellectual agenda in hip-hop. 3. The Game made almost identical comments around the same time, suggesting this is a coordinated attack. 4. Drake's camp has been secretly discussing ways to handle Kendrick that don't involve making music. 5. All of this stems from the fact that Kendrick destroyed Drake so badly in 2024 that they're still traumatized by it. Now here's the part that should terrify you. This isn't just about Kendrick anymore. This is about whether hip-hop is going to remain an art form that values skill, creativity, and lyricism, or whether it's going to devolve into a popularity contest where talent doesn't matter, substance is discouraged, and violence is glorified over verses. And right now, loves, we're at a crossroads. The industry is pushing hard for that second option because the second option is easier to control. It's easier to manufacture. It's easier to profit from. But we, the fans, the listeners, the culture, have the power to reject that. We can keep supporting real artists. We can keep demanding bars. We can keep celebrating lyricism. But we have to be intentional about it, loves, because if we stay silent, if we let this narrative take over, hip-hop as we know it will be dead within a decade. Evidence Section 3, the viral hypocrisy clip. Now, just when you thought this story couldn't get any messier, the internet did what the internet does best. Exposed the hypocrisy. So, a few days after 21 Savage made his comments about wanting to fight Kendrick, a clip started going viral on Twitter. And this clip loves Chef's Kiss is perfect! The clip shows 21 Savage from a few years ago, I think it was 2021 or 2022, where he's on a track dissing Lil Durk. And in that diss, he uses the exact same word that Kendrick used against Drake in Not Like Us. You know the word I'm talking about, loves. I'm not going to say it on this channel, but y'all know. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When 21 Savage dissed Dirk using that word, nothing happened. No threats, no demands for a fight, no "we can handle this in the streets" energy. It was just rap, like it's supposed to be. But when Kendrick uses that same word against Drake, suddenly 21 Savage wants to throw hands. Suddenly, it's too disrespectful. Suddenly, we need to handle it a different way. Make it make sense, child. Because here's what this clip proves. 21 Savage doesn't actually care about the disrespect. He doesn't care about defending some moral line in hip-hop. He cares about defending Drake. And the reason he cares about defending Drake is because Drake is his meal ticket. Drake put him on songs. Drake gave him visibility. Drake keeps him relevant in an industry where he'd otherwise be mid-tier at best. So when Kendrick embarrassed Drake, when Kendrick exposed Drake, when Kendrick ended Drake, 21 Savage took it personally, not because of loyalty, not because of friendship, but because his career depends on Drake staying on top. And honestly, loves, that's just sad. Like, imagine being so insecure in your own talent that you have to threaten violence on behalf of someone else just to stay in their good graces. That's not loyalty. That's desperation. Transition. The industry whispers. But wait, because it gets even darker. So I've been talking to some people in the industry. Producers, engineers, A&Rs, people who are actually in these rooms, and allegedly, the energy around Kendrick's name is weird right now. Like, people are scared to even mention him in certain circles. Not because they don't respect him, everybody knows he's the best rapper alive, but because there's this unspoken rule that if you praise Kendrick too much, you're somehow betraying Drake. And if you betray Drake, you might lose access, lose placements, lose opportunities. So now we have an entire industry operating out of fear of one man's ego. Child, this is insane. But here's what's even crazier. Some of these same people are privately admitting that they think Kendrick is better, that they think Drake's music has been mid for years, that they think 21 Savage is overrated, that they think the anti-lyrical agenda is ruining hip-hop. But publicly, silence. Because they're too scared of the backlash. And that, loves, is how you know we're dealing with something way bigger than just rap beef. This is about power, about control, about who gets to shape the narrative of hip-hop moving forward. And right now, the people in power are trying to erase artistry in favor of algorithm-friendly, substance-free, corporate-approved music. And we cannot let that happen. Now, let's talk about how the fans have been reacting to all of this. Because honestly, the internet has been wild over the past few days. First, you've got the Kendrick fans, and I'll be honest, this is probably most of y'all watching, who are absolutely disgusted by what 21 Savage said. People are saying things like, 21 Savage threatening Kendrick is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. Bro really said he wants to fight someone because he can't rap with them? Embarrassing. This is what happens when mid-tier rappers get too comfortable. Kendrick would destroy you with the freestyle. I mean, they're not wrong, loves. But then you've got the Drake 21 Savage fans who are trying to defend this by saying, Kendrick crossed a line with that diss. 21 is just standing up for his boy. Real street dudes don't play those word games. 21 is keeping it 100. Y'all act like Kendrick's untouchable. He can get checked too. Okay, but here's my question for those fans. If Kendrick crossed a line, why didn't Drake respond musically? Why is the response always, we'll fight him, instead of, we'll out-rap him? I'll tell you why. Because they can't out-rap him, and they know it. But then there's a third group of people, and honestly, these are the ones who worry me the most, who were saying things like, I don't even care about the music anymore. I just want to see them fight. Hip-hop is boring now. Let's get back to the streets. All this lyrical miracle stuff is lame. Give me action. And that's the danger, because those people have already bought into the anti-intellectual agenda. They've already accepted that substance doesn't matter, that bars don't matter, that hip-hop is just entertainment instead of art. And if that mindset becomes the majority, we have lost. Section 2, the cultural crossroads. All right, loves, we're in the home stretch now. Let's talk about what all of this means for hip-hop moving forward. Because, like I said earlier, we're at a crossroads. One path leads to hip-hop becoming a soulless, corporate product where talent doesn't matter and everything is manufactured. The other path leads to a renaissance of lyricism, storytelling, and artistry. And the path we take depends on us. We decide what artists get supported. We decide what music gets streamed. We decide what narratives get amplified. So if you're tired of seeing talented artists get attacked for being too lyrical, if you're tired of seeing substance get replaced by gimmicks, if you're tired of seeing the culture you love get watered down for profit, then do something about it. Support artists like Kendrick. Support artists like J. Cole. Support artists like J.I.D., Denzel Curry, Little Sims Rhapsody, anyone who's actually putting effort into their craft. Stream their albums, buy their merch, go to their shows. And stop giving energy to people who disrespect the art form. Because if we don't take a stand now, loves, we're going to wake up in 5 years and hip-hop is going to be unrecognizable, and not in a good way. The personal stakes, why this matters to me. Now I want to get a little personal for a second, loves, because some of y'all might be wondering, why do you care so much about this? Why are you so invested? And the answer is simple. Hip-hop saved my life. I'm not being dramatic, I am being literal. When I was younger, I was going through some really dark times. And the music of artists like Kendrick, like Nas, like Lauryn Hill, like Tupac, that music gave me hope. It gave me a sense of purpose. It made me feel like I wasn't alone. And the reason it had that power is because those artists put their soul into their work. They didn't just make music to get streams. They made music to change lives. And watching the industry try to erase that type of artistry, watching them try to replace substance with superficiality, it hurts, loves. So yeah, I'm invested. Yeah, I'm passionate. Because I refuse to stand by and watch the culture that saved me get destroyed by people who only care about profit. And I know a lot of y'all feel the same way. All right, final evidence, the undeniable pattern. All right, before we wrap up, I want to show y'all one final piece of evidence that ties everything together. Because if you've been paying attention, there's a pattern here that's impossible to ignore. Pattern. Every time an artist prioritizes lyricism and substance over commercial appeal, every time an artist challenges the status quo, every time an artist refuses to play the industry game, they get attacked. Kendrick gets called overhyped and threatened with violence. J. Cole gets pressured into apologizing for diss tracks. Lupe Fiasco gets blackballed for speaking his mind. Rhapsody gets ignored despite critical acclaim. Meanwhile, artists who make generic, formulaic, substance-free music, they get rewarded. They get playlist placements, they get brand deals, they get pushed to the top of the algorithm, even if their music is mid, even if their lyrics are trash, even if they're literally copying someone else's style. And that is the system we're dealing with, loves. So when you see 20 Savage threatening Kendrick, when you see The Game calling him overhyped, when you see Drake trying to delegitimize his talent, understand what you're really watching. You're watching the industry protect itself from an artist who threatens its profit model. Now, as we head toward the end of this video, there are still some vague questions that haven't been answered. Question 1. Will Kendrick ever respond to any of this? Or is he just gonna stay silent and let his legacy speak for itself? Personally, I think silence is the smartest move, because anything he says will just give them more ammunition. Question 2. Will Drake and 20 Savage actually ever make a move, or is this all just tough talk that'll fade away in a few weeks? I'm leaning toward the latter, loves, because at the end of the day, they know they can't touch Kendrick physically or lyrically. Question 3. Will the industry's anti-lyrical agenda succeed, or will fans push back and demand better music? And this is the question that matters about this, because the answer depends on all of us. All right, loves. Here's my final message before we close this out. Strong motivational tone. We cannot be silent anymore. If you care about hip-hop, if you care about artistry, if you care about preserving a culture that has given so much to the world, then speak up. Call out the BS when you see it. Support the artists who are doing it right. Educate the younger generation about what real hip-hop looks like. Don't let them gaslight you into thinking that substance doesn't matter. Don't let them convince you that lyricism is outdated. Don't let them erase the legacy of the artists who paved the way. Because at the end of the day, loves, hip-hop is ours, not theirs. Ours. And we have the power to shape its future. So let's use it. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all today, loves. I know this was a long one. We just spent 40 minutes unpacking this absolute mess of a situation. But I genuinely believe this was one of the most important conversations happening in hip-hop right now. And I wanted to make sure we covered it thoroughly. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think about 20 Savage's comments? Do you think this is a coordinated attack on Kendrick, or am I reaching? Do you think hip-hop is heading in the right direction, or are we in trouble? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you made it this far, if you sat through this entire 40-minute breakdown, drop a like on this video to let me know you're with me. Because YouTube's algorithm is not going to push this on its own, so we got to make it happen. Also, subscribe if you haven't already, because I'll be covering more stories like this, the real tea, the deep analysis, the stuff other channels won't touch, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. All right, next video, I'm thinking we dive into the whole Drake versus The Weeknd situation that's been brewing, because that is another mess entirely. But we'll see. Y'all let me know what you want to see next. All right, loves, I appreciate you all so much for rocking with me on this channel. Stay woke, stay smart, and never let them dumb down your taste in music. Warm closing. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.